Hi, Kaylin. I am Chido Chimedza, and I am the CEO and co-founder of a company called the BPO Professionals. We recruit and facilitate offshore remote employees for businesses in the US, Canada, and the UK. And all of our employees are based here in Africa. We have a goal to get to 10,000 remote employees by 2033.
Diversified game. Learn how to start, run, and sustain your business.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, it's good to be back. This is my first interview from coming back from Africa. Did about, my family says, like 18 days, which they said it was, 17 days too long. But I'm back, and my guest today, the queen of recruiting and staffing, Chido, is going to give us the game on how we can hire talent in Africa no matter where you are in the world. So no longer are the days that you have to go to India or Thailand or the Philippines or Jamaica, which are all great places. Don't get me wrong. But when we talk about the young talent in Africa, the skilled, educated talent, we're going to get into it. So welcome to Diversified Game. How are you doing, madam?
I'm well, thanks. Thanks for having me on, Kellen. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for coming on. Let's get into it for the entrepreneur listening so they don't have to jump. They want to know a few things. How do I find this talent on your beautiful website that they can register on? How, what is the price for this talent? And, how experienced and skilled is this talent? Give us some more of that game of just, for that, elevator pitch, maybe longer because we're African, so it might be a little longer. But tell us, what you're doing for the community and how we can tap in and use your services.
Great, thanks. So I guess to tell you a little bit more about the talent, first of all, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Zimbabwe. So most of our talent at the moment is coming from Zimbabwe, and that is where our company is located. And Zimbabwe is a country of 16 million people, and we actually have 30,000 graduates annually. So to put that in perspective, New York has 18 million people, and it turns out the same amount of graduates as we do. So we have this vast amount of graduates every year, right? But unfortunately, we don't have the opportunities here in Zimbabwe. Our economy doesn't have the opportunities to then place these people. So our unemployment rate is actually at 80%, despite the fact that we have all these graduates. So when it comes to the diversity in terms of the education that we have such a range of diverse people, all the way from marketing to AI engineers, right? And our hope is just to help them find opportunities globally, and not necessarily them having to relocate, but they can still do it while they're here in Africa.
Okay. Now, when they go on the website, if they, can they search for the talent or do they need to fill out the needs assessment and then you filter out that, who you're going to use? Like, how does that process work?
Okay, great question. So they can register on our website, or they can get us on any of our platforms, whether it's LinkedIn, they can send us an email, however they'd like to go about that. So if you would like to get, let's say, a virtual assistant or digital marketer, you reach out to us. And what we would do is give you, send you an initial needs assessment form. And that needs assessment form would really break down the type of person or the type of employee you're looking for, right? So we want to get down to the real nitty gritty of what you're looking for. We're not just trying to get you a robot over the computer that you don't interact with, that just churns out data for you. Instead, we want to get you someone who really shares in your mission, your vision, your values, your goals, someone that becomes a team member in your company. So you fill out that needs assessment form, and once we receive it, based on that, we have an initial meeting with you. There, you just tell us a little bit more about what you're looking for, who you're looking for, right? And based on that, we create a job profile. So we do have a database of thousands of people. So either we match in that database or we throw out an advert and we shortlist maybe about 10 people that we like, that we feel meet the criteria you're looking for, right? And based on that, we actually do a recruitment process and we further shortlist those 10 people to maybe 3 to 5 candidates, which our client can then now interview as well. So we also want you to be part of the interview process because, like I mentioned, we want you to get a team member, not just a robot, not just someone generating information for you or just doing the job, but someone that really gets into your business and collaborates with you and helps you with your long-term goals. So once you've done that interview, you then pick the person that resonates the most with you, and then we start the onboarding process, basically. So it's really simple. It's a really quick turnover, and really we can have you someone from as little as 1 working week, as long as you also are able to communicate efficiently with us.
Now, what every entrepreneur thinks before going through that long process, and hopefully this interview will help answer some of those questions, what's kind of the average price? Because when people are looking for virtual assistants, usually it's startup, small business, people who don't have, tens of thousands of dollars to pay someone. They get really nervous and getting all the emails of someone saying they can help you. What's like an average price? Because 100,000 Zimbabwean dollars could go further than what their US dollars here are, especially because we're so litigious here, and you never know when someone will try to sue you, say something that you didn't hire them for some weird reason. So like, what's the average in the Zimbabwean currency, the ZWL? What is that looking like on the average, so people can know and not be so intimidated by the big numbers? I've been a Zimbabwean billionaire before back in the day. I had that money stacked up. I was ready to go to Zimbabwe. My friend gave it to me in London. So when I went to South Africa, but yeah, so not everyone has, and my billions are useless like they were then. I couldn't even get a Coke. But what is like that average that you're seeing that people hire their first virtual assistant?
Okay, awesome. So I want to answer that in 2 parts, right? Firstly, the average virtual administrator, you're looking at about 1,500, 1,500 USD in United States dollars per month. And that's for a full-time person who's going to be 100% dedicated to you. So one of our key or unique selling points for us is the fact that we want to get you someone that is 100% dedicated to you, unlike other outsourcing companies that might have one person who shares their time between 3 or 4 or 5 clients, right? We want someone that is 100% dedicated to you, and that just adds more value, and their full concentration is on your business. So about 1,500, you can get someone with 5 years working experience. So someone who's well seasoned and understands what they're doing. They're not entry level. They now have a good understanding of, all of the work that they're expected to do. And then also just to answer your question again in the second part, you mentioned being a billionaire. Everyone in Zimbabwe was a billionaire at one point. I think I was like 16 years old, and like I was a billionaire, right? But unfortunately, that money didn't have much value, and so it brings me to one of the reasons why I started the BPO Professionals. So in my own personal life, Zimbabwe has gone through many cycles of hyperinflation. When we were billionaires, that was the worst version of it. But when I was older, along in my career, I was actually working for a microfinance company, and I was actually doing really well. I was an accountant. My husband was a networks engineer at another company, and we both had really good jobs. We were doing all the right things. We could invest, we could go on holiday, we could do all of we were fortunate enough to be able to do all of the things you would expect us to be doing at that level and at that age, I guess. And we had a new family that had just started along, right? But then Zimbabwe went into hyperinflation again. And we went from having really good contracts to having our contracts eroded by the hyperinflation, right? And we actually got to a point where we didn't know what we're gonna do because we couldn't sustain our family anymore, right? We couldn't sustain our lifestyle, but we had the skill set, we had the education. And at the time, my brother was in Canada, and he actually said to me, why don't you guys move to Canada? And we were looking into it and thinking maybe we should, but at the same time, his mom is a widow and he's an only child. And we didn't want to leave her, you know? We didn't really want to move to Canada, but it was more like out of necessity. And just in the nick of time, just before we started that process, I actually got a job, a remote job, and I started earning in USD, and that was so sustainable for us, and it changed the game for us. So we now had a stable currency, and then we scratched Canada, and we are where we are now, right? But for me, that was the first aha moment that, you know what, actually, you don't have to necessarily migrate. And the same skill sets you have, you can still use them while you're here. So one of the great things about when you're employed with the BPO professionals is that because we get our currency in USD, we also pay our staff in USD. So they don't have to worry about their salaries being eroded by the Zim dollar as well.
Okay, well, no, that's awesome. And for those who say, well, why does this happen? Well, they one time had a leader who had his own thoughts and was fighting for his country, and he stayed way too long, like many African leaders, or even now we see American leaders, since we have 80s and close to 90-year-olds not wanting to leave power. My gosh, you got to learn how to relax people and retire, but go fishing. So with the BPO professionals, let's say somebody is looking for videographers, editors. Are those skill sets also there? And are there any skill sets that you see are higher? Because a lot of times people get like a misconception thinking Africa is cheap and that you're going to come with like $100, $200 and buy up all of, this city. And it can be very expensive too, depending on how you do it.
Definitely. So when it comes to skill set, we do not lack in any area, in any industry. Right now, I'm actually recruiting for an AI engineer, someone that's gonna be doing chatbots, video editing, definitely. But like anything, here in Zimbabwe, we have a saying that's, so anything cheap is expensive. So what we mean is if you want good quality people, right, we have to make sure that they get the salaries that they deserve, right? So we can also maintain that level of quality. If you look for extensively cheap things, you'll get an extensively cheap output, right? But the great thing is that our cost of living is so different, right? That what might seem like a premium here in Zimbabwe is still cost saving there in America because of just the cost of living being that different. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Come along with London and Sydney as they show you around the vibrant country of Cameroon. We explore the heart of Africa through the eyes of London and Sydney. Two explorers who journey across the great city of Yaoundé, exploring its rich culture, vibrant market squares, cultural heritage, and wildlife. With giggles and excitement, London and Sydney Explore Cameroon takes you on a fun-filled adventure, providing insight into the country's culture and traditions through the pages of this book. It's packed with exciting stories and super cool facts about Cameroon that will make you go, wow. Get your copy now. available on Amazon and in libraries near you. There's only one easy way to experience the exploration of Cameroon, and it's through London and Sydney. Don't wait, get yours.
Now, when you talk about like AI and chatbots, again, people who say, I have a great idea, I don't have the money for it. If I come and say, look, this is my budget, can we work on it, small, little by little until, and it may be more expensive doing it this way, but this is the way that I can afford it. Because, when you talk about AI or even websites, you're talking about technical knowledge and an artistic eye and touch. So do people ever come and say, hey, I have, this amount of money, tell me how long it will take? Because it seems like everybody wants an app. And I think everyone needs an app nowadays. I'm preaching to myself when I'm thinking about that for a business. Everybody needs an app. So, how does that work? Because some folks even here that are starting up will say, well, I don't have $1,000. And if I had $1,000, I'd probably be able to maybe find someone here locally in the States for that same project.
Definitely. So at the end of the day, I'm always looking to just help people find opportunities here in Africa. So we also do project-based work as well. So things like websites, you don't necessarily need a full-time person, right? But maybe you just need a website to get done. We can help you find people in that space. I actually have a select group of website designers I work with. So whenever someone needs a website done, whenever someone needs an app done, I have specific people that I present their portfolios to, and then we see how we can collaborate.
Okay, I want to see examples of those if possible. Maybe the editors can throw them in, or when people, I can put them in the description. I don't know, however you can send it. Just because I want to take the guesswork out. I don't want people calling you, asking you the same questions. And can I see your examples of a website? And maybe if the last website or two that you did, what that cost is. Because a lot of times people we're a full service firm, but a lot of what I do is strategize and get people right inside their budget. And I'll say, look, you don't want us to build your website. It's going to be way more than you have. And if it's complicated, I want it. But if it's simple, AI can now build a website, you guys. Like, you can do it just like that. I won't, because of Chido, I won't give the full secrets out right here. You might have to reach out to her. But I don't want to necessarily do work like that unless I can do a lot of it. But what is an average price so people can kind of know when they come to you, I need to have this amount of money? And I have to do that, or people will DM you and bother you and find out, oh, they had $2 on them and the website is, it's $3 and they don't have it. So what's the average that you've seen on web design that you've done?
Definitely. So for a basic website, you're looking at about $800. You can get that done. But if you're looking for something more complex, let's say you're looking for an e-commerce website or maybe a platform like Facebook or something, then you need maybe from 1.5, 1,500, 1,500. I'm trying to make it so sure everyone can understand. Yeah, so 1,500 for maybe a more complex website, but yeah, for a standard website, $800 you can get a standard website done.
Okay, so you guys getting the game, and do you know on apps? And apps are so funny like websites because it depends on how complex. But what about your app prices?
Yeah, so apps, I can't put a price on it because it really depends on what they're looking for. So with apps, it's gonna be a bit more detailed. Like they're gonna have to have a couple sessions to understand what their app is really supposed to do before they can quote that. So I'm a little scared to quote because I don't want people coming back and being like, hey, yeah.
That's how they do. Even if it's 5, or I've done this for over 20 years, it could be 20 years later. Man, your prices are out of this world. I remember when, And that's when we tell them, like so many of our African stores, yesterday's price is not today's price, and there's no credit today. Come back tomorrow. So that's just how it is. Now, when building this business, tell the people, did you get support from family when building this business? Did you get any angel investors, VC, to say, hey, make this easy? We believe in you. How did you create this?
The journey was long and hard, and I wish I had a VC. I wish I had an angel investor. I bootstrapped. We bootstrapped from the beginning, right up to where we are today. So like I mentioned, I got that remote job, right? And that changed the game for us. And the great thing from there is the guy I was working for was so happy with the work I was doing that he wanted to grow his team, right? So it was an accounting firm, and I roped in two other ladies into that equation. And he was really happy with the work they were doing as well. But unfortunately, they didn't really have the infrastructure I did at home. So here in Zimbabwe, we do have an issue in regards to blackouts. So almost daily, we could get a blackout. So they were missing meetings, and they weren't really working as efficiently as they could have been. And he was getting frustrated. So I didn't want them to lose their job. So I was like, why don't you guys come work from my house, right? And basically they started working from my house. He increased he started paying for my internet and stuff like that, just, to accommodate the additional expenses. And that's when I realized that I could turn this into a business, and I could provide more opportunities for more people as long as I give them the infrastructure to make sure that they can work efficiently and effectively. That's why, although they're remote to our clients here in Zimbabwe, they actually come into the office every day. And that just ensures they have high-speed internet. That makes sure they don't have any issues, because we have backup solar, we have backup generators, and we have good hardware, we have good softwares, we have IT support, we have administrative support. So just to make sure people get their job done as effectively and efficiently as possible. But yeah, from there it was just growing and growing, and it was just a matter of reaching out. And we didn't have any angel investors. We actually were, and we still to this day do this, where we just go on LinkedIn, we go on virtual networking platforms, we reach out to as many people as we can to tell them about the business. And that's really how the business has been growing organically.
Now, backup generators and backup solar, I'm sure you collect your water too. You are totally just what we call off the grid. That's easier said than done in America, because even our solar sometimes is still connected to the government. So that just sounded like balling. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I have some solar, but it's like my pool is solar. But like to have it all done, like you are always on. Is that something sustainable that many can do in Zimbabwe, or is it uber expensive? Like a generator here is uber expensive. If you have like the top of the line generator, it costs a lot of money. Most Americans can't afford it.
So what is interesting is that over the time, I think solars have become cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. I guess as they've become more available. Obviously, it's still a bit pricey to set up, but once you've set up something like a solar system, the maintenance becomes quite cheap. And really they've made it so that they're now solar panels that are just so small. Like even people in the rural areas have them. Like you can even have like just solar panels that make sure you have lights in your house. You can have, yeah, so the setups are so diverse now that they accommodate people and their needs. So for us, we obviously have to have a bigger system in place because, you know, we have people that are working around the clock. We have people that we need to make sure that everyone, you know, is working efficiently and effectively. But even just for your house, solars have become so cheap. Yeah.
Wow, that might be a business to sell to us because people don't just have solar like that. And again, everything is kind of just locked in to the grid. So that's an awesome thing. Now, how big has your team, how big is it right now, between the people that are managing the talent that you're hiring? It sounds like it's growing, and with so many people graduating, like you kind of maybe have to keep hiring and hiring, and that sounds like a great problem for an entrepreneur to have.
Throughout the course of since we started, I think we've hired close to 30 people. Currently we have a staff of about 15-ish, 16 people. It is still small. There's so many people with the talent here in Africa. It's just a matter of finding people that are willing to take on the people and just give them opportunities. So we're still small. Like I said, we've been growing organically and bootstrapping and yeah, COVID and all of that. But we're definitely growing slowly. And right now we have 16 people, but to date, I think 30 to maybe 40 people that have gone through us. Usually after maybe some people do projects, so they come in and out as well. So maybe someone wants them for a website and then they come back, or for another project, or maybe someone wants them for a certain marketing campaign. So we've always tried to be flexible when it comes to projects. So that does keep people coming back as well.
Okay, no, that's awesome, and I don't know. I have this weird thing that America has a shortage of 2 million nurses. They love African nurses. Doesn't matter what country. They love Filipino nurses. Doesn't matter which island from the Philippines. If you have nurses, that's something that I'd have to have you talk to my wife because that's more. She handles that part of the the business. But if you have people in healthcare, please let it be known because of course you have to take some additional testing when you get here, but everybody who's hired an African or a Filipino nurse has always been happy because it's naturally in the African culture, in the Philippines culture, to take care of the elderly, take care of the sick. And so, do you have nurses too? Do they come through your company?
So it's funny that you asked that question. There are nurses and social workers in abundance in Zimbabwe right now. So actually, that is, I could send you like 50 CVs right now that I have. Unfortunately, they don't usually, it's a bit harder for them to do remote work, obviously. But if it's like relocating, I can definitely help with that as well because definitely I am the bug because I have, yeah, in abundance. So yeah.
Okay, so the remote work more difficult, and I could go into detail on that. It's all about the laws and insurance here. But this is not the only place, and I don't know that a place like Australia has the same rules, or Morocco or wherever that might need nurses. But the sick, we are seeing more and more people needing nurses, and that's a beautiful thing. What is a community give back that your company is doing or that you would like to do in the future?
That is a great question. So currently, one of our biggest, I guess our biggest community give backs already is the fact that we're helping people find employment, right? I kind of tell you how many times people have come to me and come back to me and literally said, God bless you. And I'm like, I am a profit-making organization. This is a profit organization. Like we're social entrepreneurs, but we are still, everyone is winning here. But I've seen people's lives change because of opportunities that they've gotten through us. And for me, at the end of the day, yes, we are profit making, but still the impact that we make at an individual level is amazing. And for me, that's one of my biggest motivations to keep knocking on doors and looking for opportunities for people. Having said that, we also do have plans in the future. We definitely love the digital space, right? And we definitely want to be able to give back to our community. And because we believe so strongly in education, we're hoping to be able to go back to local schools and provide computers for them. That's part of our social corporate responsibility, is just to be able to provide computers so that the less fortunate community can still have access to that, to learning digital skills and learning, how to use a computer, how to do all of that kind of things. Yeah.
And that's awesome, because we know once young Africa has, access to the internet, faster internet, reliable internet, it's over. I mean, people are create, something out of very little. So the future is Africa, the now is Africa, and you are right there to capitalize on that, which is a great thing, because you need money. Scriptures tell you need money for all things, so you need the capital. Besides, I'm thinking about the venture capitalists, the vultures out there that seek companies like yours and say, "Oh, you already have done the hard work." Are you open to the venture money? Maybe you can say what terms you don't want it on, because again, they are vultures. And yes, folks, I know I'm part of one here locally, but it's a game, and I don't consider myself. I'm just a small part. But what type of money are you looking for? If you want to say, hey, this is the Shark Tank or the Lion's Den, we're looking for this amount of money and we'll be able to give this amount of share. You don't have to say that part, but I just want to know, what type of money do you want? Because maybe you don't want venture money. Maybe you'll say, I'll take angel money, but we really want to control this and we don't want to feel like we're working for somebody.
So that is interesting, because that was going to be my answer. I don't think at the moment I would be, if I was to look for money, I don't think I'll be looking for venture money, but definitely for angel money. I think that's the stage we're at either way. I think we're at that angel investment stage. We do want to retain our control in the company. There are two of us in the company. It's me and my husband that I mentioned as a networks engineer. And I think we do have we've got a good board in place as well. So yeah, if it was to be money, I would be looking for an angel investor. Yeah.
Okay. So you guys got it. So the vultures can stop hovering. There's no prey, just to to eat. And what about, most of the talent is from Zimbabwe. Is that a requirement if someone is like, hey, I am in, Zambia, I'm talented and I don't want to go to Fiverr. I'd rather deal with an African company, and you're the first one that they find. Do you take talent from other places inside of Africa?
So yes, we do. We do, but for very specific roles. So depending on the need of the client. So for example, there's certain things that will open it up to the whole of Africa. Our goal is to eventually, go from Cape to Cairo and be able to hire anyone. But we open it up for certain positions, and for certain positions, we do keep it local, only because there's such an overwhelming amount of talent already here in Zimbabwe. And once again, in regards to the infrastructure, we can because they work from the office here in Zimbabwe, we can guarantee that the person is working. We can guarantee that the person is, doing their job and has the infrastructure in place to do their job. They have the laptop because we provide them with the laptop. They have electricity because we make sure they have electricity. If they have any issues in regards to maybe a software or a website that's not functioning well, or whatever they may need, we have IT support for that. We are well connected with the telecom industry here in Zimbabwe. My husband and my partner, my business partner, he was in the telecom industry for 20 years. So he has those connections to make sure everything is flowing efficiently and effectively. So we do like them to be from Zimbabwe, but if the opportunity arises for us to open it up to Africa, we do, as long as the client is also happy with that.
Okay. And one of the reasons I asked that, because I don't know if you're familiar with like the nomadic lifestyle, and some of us are collecting residencies and citizenships. So you might have somebody who says, well, I could get a residency or a long-term visa in Zimbabwe if I work for a Zimbabwean company. And so I had to do that for those folks who say, they try to find the hack so then they can bring in their cryptocurrency. And, there's always a game to be played, especially if you're an American, because we're the only people who have to claim our money wherever we go in the world, as long as we hold that passport. So you guys can see that they want Zimbabwean talent, but if you are really that talented, maybe there's something that they can find for you to do. I know everyone in Zimbabwe is like, why would you want a Zimbabwean passport? Why? What would it do? Or, a residency? Freedom. That's what it would do. It's a freedom game. You get to choose where you want to be. So let the people know if there's anything I did not touch upon. I try to make it short enough where they can say, I need to go ask more questions to you, but I think we've covered the big things, and I don't want to be too long because I'm going to talk to you after this with my own nerd questions and geek out that the audience probably would not care about. But yeah, let them know anything else and where to find you.
Awesome. So thanks so much, Helen. I think we covered a lot of the things. Definitely. Just, I guess, if they would like to reach me, you can get me on LinkedIn. I am Chido Chimedza. So that is Chido Chimedza, Chimedza. Or you can find the BPO Professionals also on LinkedIn, or you can shoot us an email. You can get me at Chido, Chido, at tbpop.com. And you can also check out our website, which is the bpoprofessionals.com. Yeah, so that's a little bit about where you can get us. And thank you so much, Helen, for this opportunity. It was lovely talking to you. It was warm. I love the vibe. Yeah.
You are so welcome. This is an African business podcast. I like to tell everybody where we can highlight what, other outlets may not want to highlight, because this is stuff that can actually help people. There's no, Chido just made 10 billion USD and another 5 billion Rand. Like, we don't have to go into that because that doesn't help the audience. It doesn't help you guys who have stayed to the end and listening to say, how do I build a team? We just found a company that will help you manage your team to make sure they have the light, the power, and the water that everybody needs to make their dreams come true. So I thank y'all for sticking to the end. I thank you guys for checking and linking in the links and following those links and tapping in. So, there's a whole new world that's being built. And I can tell you, it started in Africa. It's going to end in Africa. You guys want to get your African investment plan going now, whichever country you choose. And that's why we do this for you. You guys, you've listened. Make sure you like, make sure you share. Most of you are listeners. Go to the YouTube and look at Chido's face. It's such a friendly face. You will be, happy. You won't be disappointed at all. She'll bring some light, especially if it's raining in your area or there's a drought. but you've liked, you've shared, you can comment. Most importantly, though, is sharing this game with somebody. It will change their life. Y'all be blessed.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stress the value of the USD. Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand, or 10,000 Kenyan shillings, or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from Kellen Cash, a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you, produced by you, and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.